going to be coffee. Copy, copy, copy. Copy, copy, copy. There's a little poem my dad taught me. Sweet milk, buttermilk, tea, or coffee. Rattle-daddle-dink-dum, take a little coffee. That's stupid. Of course, see, my dad was born in 1907, so that would explain a lot. I only grabbed half a cup. I might have to get up and get more later. Well, what are we going to talk about? There's some stuff I like to say before I don the fez, and usually the way it is when we don't put on the fez is that you might have to take what I say with a grain of salt. I used to not have this, but I try to make this policy that when I'm wearing the fez, that what I'm saying I believe to be true. Now, you may not think it's true, but when I'm wearing the fez, I believe what I'm saying is true. Or I'm just saying stuff that's off the top of my head, which is usually how this works. You might have noticed that I did this. Did you see that for a little bit? I'm putting it down at dark. In case you're wondering, I put something, this dark-colored bandana, over my keyboard, so I don't get as much reflection. I don't always do that, but sometimes I need, anyway, long story. Sometimes I need access to my keyboard, sometimes I don't. Yeah, I just wanted to say this thing about, oh, look at my hair, it's all puffed up. Should I start over? Oh. Might need to switch shampoos, eh? Damn, I'm having a hard time getting started. You know, this hater was saying that my medicinal marijuana was adding to my paranoia and self-delusion and whatever. Like she's some sort of psychologist or some sort of expert. Rumor is that she was a nurse. So I take it that she's an expert, that she worked in a psychiatric hospital. Or is that where they put her after she was fired? Well, I'll share something with you. Up until, what was it, day before yesterday, I had gone 39 days without smoking pot. 39 days on my own, cold turkey, no booze. Still was smoking cigarettes, but yeah, I thought I needed to clear my head and get some stuff done. My head got really clear, but I still didn't get any stuff done. And then I had such a stressful week that I used that as an excuse for taking the edge off. So maybe that's why I'm a little bit clouded over. Some people noticed a difference when I started I got my card and started getting my medical marijuana. You know, more or less my whole life, I'll be a stoner, whether I'm getting stoned or not, you know. But yeah, you know, week was getting kind of difficult. Like I was really like pop, 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 pop. My brain was like popping, like popcorn, and it was good in some ways, but it can sort of create tension with people. Like when I was a teenager, the other time I quit, my friend Sean said, you know, you're a lot nicer when you're stoned. Okay. Yeah, I know. All right. Wacky John. I'm going to take credit. Unless somebody else wants to take credit, we can argue over it. I'm going to take credit for calling John of John's Wacky World. I started calling him Wacky John. And we had this thing I started saying, oh, I don't like wacky humor. But I don't do wacky humor. But really, to be fair, I do enjoy wacky humor. But it's by certain people. You know, like Monty Python when they do it. But they can also do dry humor. And I sort of appreciate dry humor. And then wacky has to be just a certain kind of wacky. Seltzer down the pants or a pie in the face. It's not to me. It's so hackneyed, it's not funny. If they could come up with a fresh way of a pie in the face, maybe I might laugh. But I haven't seen anything fresh when it comes to that. Or the squirting flour, or the joy buzzer, or the whoopee cushion. Well, farts can still make me laugh. It's all about timing, right? It's all about timing. So John, Wacky John, I think he made a video and he's posted stuff on his Facebook. And, you know, for those of you who don't know, Max Peabody, his dog, his companion for a long time, has passed by. And he did a video involving a funeral. You know, there was a funeral for Max Peabody and something else. And he's posted things on Facebook. And I'd have to say, I've talked about when I like cats and dogs. But for most of my adult life, I've been a cat person. When I'm older and could give a dog a lot more time, I would like to get a beagle. But preferably I live in the country, you know, because I know they can be noisy and bark a lot. It might just drive me crazy. I don't know. Maybe a beagle's not the right choice for me, but I just like beagles, the way they look with the floppy ears and stuff. It'd be something from the hound family, I think. Basset hound. At least when they bark, it's like a you know, or those hunting hounds. Anyway, enough of that. I digress. So I did have to put a couple cats down, and that to me was very sad. Other cats have just disappeared because I believe in not keeping a cat indoors full time. I at least would like to have a cat door so they could come and go as they please, or put them out for the night, let them back in to feed them, and then put them out again, that sort of thing. Or when the weather's bad, bring them inside if I don't have a cat door. I have this thing, they say in the UK that's the way it mostly is. I don't know, that keeping a cat in full time is an American thing, because we don't want our cats to get hit by cars or something like that. I say the smart cats know how to avoid cars. I've seen some cats, man, crossing the street, and they're savvy. They're watching. They know what's going on. I don't know. It seems that way. But that a cat that's kept indoors all the time, they get kind of stupid, you know? And I read that. They've found out that there's evidence. There's evidence that, you know, they've done tests on them. These cats are not like smarter than dogs in some ways, but they're much more independent. You know what? Cats are not, they're not brown nosers, not butt kissers. Where dogs are like, oh, let me please you any way I can. For me in this time of life, I really don't. Anyway, I don't really appreciate that in humans too much either. But sometimes I get attached to somebody. First stages of falling in love, I'm that way. I'm like, oh, please. And then when I change, that's when they're like, I thought you were going to do whatever I want. No, that was only for the first few months. Why women can't figure that out, I don't know. So, Wacky John. He did this one video where, I think it was called Lonely or Sadness or something like that, where he's sitting on a bench and he's got Max Peabody's leash and he's fondling it. And at the moment, for me, that was too much. So I said, man up, Wacky John, get over it, you know. I mean, for me, I was sad about my cats for a few days, but, you know, hey, cat's not like the same as a dog. I know how people can get attached to their dogs. But I was raised, I told John in a PM, or maybe right there on the comment, because I said, man up, you know. And he talks about how he can't get a date, and I don't think, and I'd like to ask, is there any women that find that appealing? I might have said that on my last Fez Night, I don't know. The way I was raised is, my dad grew up on a farm, is that animals are animals. Animals are not people. Okay? You might become attached to them, but They're animals. All right? When you start treating an animal like it's a person, there's something very wrong going on. Well, John asserted that Max Peabody had a soul. This is where John does not understand dry humor. Because I wrote to him and I said, not to my knowledge, is there any religion, especially Western religion, maybe there's some obscure religions, maybe in the Far East, maybe Hinduism. I'm not saying I'm an expert on Hinduism. I know that some Buddhists and Hindus believe that every life is precious, and that the really, really strict ones try to avoid at all costs hurting any animal. You know, and they're strict vegetarians, etc. But I don't know if they actually define it as the animal having a soul. Maybe their definition of soul is different than ours, but John is saying that the Max Peabody had a soul. He also says that something very strange happened, and that there were witnesses that led to what he believes proof that Max had a soul. Max Peabody, the dog. Should I just stop and don the fez? Because this seems like more like a Fez Night topic. Oh, well, let me say that John mentioned at a PM that Riley lost his dog in Hurricane or Storm Sandy or whatever. And I'd say, Riley got you again. He got you a really good one. In fact, this was his best one yet. He even got people that were astounding, really, really good on camera. I mean, I could say they could almost be professional actors. I know, Riley, you have enough money. Did you hire professional actors? Anyway, this whole spoof of him losing his dog Smokey and then finding him again, these people seem very genuine. But he totally pulled one on you over again. He's the king of gotcha, I tell you. All right, time to don the fez. And we'll carry on that conversation about Wacky John. Because that seemed more like a fez topic. Doesn't it? All right, time to don the fez. Greetings, fellow citizens. This is Citizen Kong, and welcome to another Fez Night. Tonight's Fez Night shall be called Fabaceous Fez Night. Fabaceous. I just like the way that sounds. I went online and I was like trying to think of like maybe doing a whole series of Fez Night where there's like words that begin with F. And so I Googled words that begin with F. And this stuck out. It was like in some crossword puzzle aid, you know, like helping you solve crossword puzzles by giving you words that start with this letter, whatever. And I chose words that start with F. And fabaceous stuck out at me. You know what it means? Having the quality of a bean or being part of the bean family. Don't ask me what the root word is, but fabaceous. The quality of a bean. Do I have any beans around here? No, I think I ate my last can of Heinz beans, the kind from the UK that has that sort of turquoise, not quite blue, not quite green label. I like that stuff. On toast with butter. I made a face, but it's like a happy face, smiling upside down. I don't know why I made the face. But having it with buttered toast, on top of buttered toast, is really... I like it. I like it. Plus, it's easy to fix. All right. Back to Wacky John and whether dogs have souls. So this is where John doesn't have a dry sense of humor, or doesn't understand dry humor, because I said, John, you know, as far as I know, there's no religion that says animals have souls. So why don't you start your own religion? Oh, he also said, you might think I'm insane. So I said, why don't you start your own religion, you know, revolving around the idea that animals have souls. And people, you know, start religions are either, some are insane. So maybe you're insane too. I don't know. It was something along the lines of that. Starting religion, starting your own religion, and how people that start their own religions are sometimes insane or something like that, because he said, I may be insane, or you might think I'm insane. And then John responded by, I am not religious. And That's not the point. Do you think L. Ron Hubbard, that started Scientology, was a religious man? No. It was a scam. Is a scam. Still is a scam, Scientology. No, John, I was trying to make a joke. And I also said that by the way, all this, I asked John, I sent him a PM, and he gave me permission to do this. But there's part of the deal here that I have to mention later. I think there was one main thing that he wanted, and I'll do that at the end. And so, I mean, this opens up a big can of worms. If he believes Max Peabody has a soul, then dogs have a soul, right? And then cats have a soul. So I was asking him, do chickens have a soul? What happens to their soul when they're deep fried? These are the jokes, folks. Do insects have souls? Crickets? Yeah, where do you draw the line? Does hamburger have a soul? That was supposed to be a joke too. Yeah, boy, that opens up really a big can of worms. I mean, what kind of people would we be if we're killing and eating animals that have souls too, just like us? I don't think there's anything in the Bible that says, if you want to go the Christian route, that animals have souls. I talked briefly with Monk, and he reminded me of the swine that when Jesus cast out the demons that were cast into the swine, and then the swine didn't want to deal with the demons being in themselves, so they ran off a cliff and killed themselves. Something along that line. But it doesn't say that they actually had souls. The demons were cast into the swine as like a temporary vessel. That's my interpretation. So John mentioned, check out what the American Indian think. And I didn't really go back and do research, but I have read before that the American Indian had the belief that every living creature was precious, and it was like brother bear and all that. So maybe they thought animals had souls, but I don't know if they had the same definition of soul that the Judeo-Christian tradition has. I don't think they would call it a soul. I would think it'd be more like a life force or something. And I don't know whether they believe that the life force, there was an afterlife. That I don't know. Maybe I should have researched that part. But I knew that they believed there was an energy in everything, and even stones and inanimate objects had a life force of some type, and that when a Native American, especially on the East Coast, killed an animal, that he would give thanks to that animal. Thank you, Brother Bear, for giving up your life so I can feed myself, or Brother Deer, or Brother Rabbit. And then he said something about the ducks quack back wouldn't like that. I don't know why. Oh yes, because the American Indian believed that ducks are evil. There goes that whole thing about wearing the fez and trying to be honest, but all right, you have to cut me some slack on that. I would never. Anyway, enough of that. It's like when I try to pass off something and act like I'm serious. And then, yeah, should I stop getting high again? I only smoked just a little bit. None this morning, of course. But touch just took the edge off, and I feel a lot better. I don't feel as like tightly wound. I see somebody outside. So, do animals have a soul? Let's put that out there for a conversation, huh? I know that some people, their animals are so attached to them that they, it is like losing a person for some of them. But I say, don't do that. Save your real grief for somebody that's a human being, somebody that's really close to you, a human being. I think. All right, so this is the thing that Wacky John, that John said would be the make it, the deal. And the deal is that I mentioned Al Brookman, that Al Brookman spoiled the election. I don't understand, John. How did Al Brookman spoil the election? Does Al Brookman wield that much influence in Washington, D.C. that he picked Romney and even built his platform? No, Al Brookman was telling me he had a secret inside thing and it wasn't going to be Romney. He liked Chris Christie. And how did you feel, Al Brookman, when Chris Christie said, Obama's a good guy? And how some people said, if it wasn't for Hurricane Sandy, Obama would have lost. Well, those are the same people that said, aren't they the same people that said the New Orleans hit, the Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans because God was punishing them? So wouldn't that mean that the GOP is getting punished by God? That God gave Obama his blessing? What does it mean? I had a discussion. This guy doesn't regularly work with me, and I should have kept my mouth shut. But this is how I've been. I've been kind of like, up. And this guy I was getting ready to leave from work early. But I went out to where the guys are having cigarettes. And the guy, there's this temporary guy that comes by to work on some of the machinery. And he's a nice guy. I like him. But I didn't realize what a right-winger he was, because he was telling these guys about how the politicians have their own health insurance, and they don't have to pay for health insurance because, it's government health insurance. And I said, yeah, that's the same health insurance I want. And it went into this long discussion. Since the guy's not on regular hours and I was getting ready to leave, we ended up standing in the parking lot talking for a little while. And some of these people are just impenetrable. They really are, and I shouldn't waste my time. But one of the things we talked about is, it sort of came down to this. There was a bunch of things about Obamacare, how Obamacare killed his father, and that was a bit dubious. He came with all this research. He said he read every page of the Obamacare thing, and I don't know, probably found it on some right-wing website where it just highlighted stuff. He said there was some sort of affirmative action in there that about only promoting or hiring medical workers of color. There's a lot of stuff in there there's a lot of stuff he said that was dubious. Usually, in this case, I just try to look where the person's coming from, because I've been in so many arguments with these people that I have to assume what they're telling me in many cases is not real, unless I heard it myself. Okay? Maybe I'm closed-minded, but I've wasted enough time with people sending me to websites and me especially the creationists, saying, these are valid scientists, and you got a list of the people that have signed this whatever creationist petition, and they're not weather scientists. They're all they're not weather scientists. They're economists and things like that, biologists, some in some cases, but they're not weather scientists. And so some of the stuff didn't make sense, like how Obamacare killed his father. Well, so what is he saying? That the HMO, he was trying to claim that the HMO stopped the treatment on his father's leg. I think he wanted knee replacement surgery for his father, who was 80 years old. And they basically said, well, he's too old. We're not gonna spend the money on that. And he said, why not? And the HMO told him, because of Obamacare. Well, let's say that's true. Isn't the problem with Obamacare and government health care in general is that they feel like somehow that private medicine won't still be available? Or if you can't afford private medicine and there is no government medicine, even if it's not as good as private medicine, then where do you go? You could take like Romney suggested, go to the emergency room. But you're not going to go to the emergency room to get knee placement surgery. So, I don't know. Can any of you make sense of that? Really? And I didn't go into him with that. The thing that as it came down to, I said, well, there's problems with the Republican Party, or else Romney would have won. And he basically agreed that it was because it's because of minorities. And then he said, well, Martin Luther King was a Republican. And I said, yeah, okay, because he was old school. Republicans, you know, the freed slaves and everybody voted Republican because Lincoln was a Republican and, you know, and freed the slaves, you know. And you might argue with whether he freed the slaves or not, but the idea was they believed he did. And, but the party changed. The Republican Party is no longer what is the party of Lincoln. The party of Lincoln was a progressive party, and they're no longer that. And people of color, blacks in this day and age, they tend not to register Republican anymore. And I said to him, I said, Martin Luther King was helped out a lot by LBJ, who's a Democrat, and it was LBJ that sent the FBI in the South to deal with those KKK people that were lynching blacks and the ones that killed those kids that went down there to register, get people to register to vote. And he said, well, yeah, that was an unfortunate thing. And then when it came down to it, I said, well, why did blacks switch over to the Democratic Party? Because the Democrats promised them free stuff. So I knew exactly where this guy's coming from. Yeah. He's ignoring the civil rights movement, how the Dems were and the liberals were behind that the GOP did nothing for the civil rights movement. To this day, you know, there's gays fighting for their civil rights, and what does the GOP do? Not a hell of a lot. They just stand in the way. Anyway, if any of you care, any of you hate when I talk about politics. I can't think of it. Oh, I forgot something very important I want to say at the top. I even wrote it down here. Vlogger Cat. I feel bad that you feel you had to close your account. I hope you come back. I really like Vlogger Cat. I told Zoo, I commented on one of his videos. By the way, Zoo, you are one of the creative ones there. You do some creativity. But a lot of you, and Vlogger Cat's made some creative videos. But a lot of you, all you do is get on camera and like, yeah, and fight. And I know that's what I do. But I've made some other creative videos. How about my Timmy videos, my Timmy series? You know, where I'm Timmy and I'm an expert in this, and I'm an expert in that. Mainly why I said that is because Dr. Timmy, psychiatrist or whatever, psychiatric expert, I made that video because Tim was constantly assessing people's mental thing, you know, like their mental, he was diagnosing mental disorders on the other YouTubers, which is ridiculous. He was diagnosing me. Which is really ridiculous, right? So anyway, yeah. Wish Vlogger Cat would come back and not hang out with those other people. Because we're nice over here. As long as you're not Pops. And those other two. Or that other one. Whatever. Vlogger Cat tried to be nice to everybody. Okay? And she said one little thing to this kid, and I have to say, I think you're a retard too. And I don't even know those people over there. I'm asking like, you know, the egg, you know, one of the eggs is like, what's going on? And he said, it's too much to explain. And I told him, what I gather, it's about tits and wrestling. Those Skype things, man, it's like a snake pit. Barfly and Hydroponic got me on Skype a few times, and Scott's in there, and he invited me over. And there's people that I don't really know, that people that I've heard of, and I don't know whether they like me or dislike me. There's one guy that seemed clearly to dislike me, and Cag, who's a Kool-Aid girl, who's like the reigning queen of Skype, stuck up for me. And I feel kind of weird as like a girl sticking up for me, but it's like, dude, I don't even know you, you know? I don't even know what's going on. And I'm not used to that Skype chat thing. Like I said, it's a snake pit. You don't know what. I've heard all kinds of stories of stuff happening on Skype. People recording conversations and playing it back on YouTube. And yada, 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 fights breaking out in Skype, and things that happen on YouTube and taken into Skype and vice versa. I kind of tried to warn you. Not everybody on Skype is bad. I like using Skype for a one-on-one thing myself. There was one time that I really enjoyed myself. There was Hydroponic and Barfly and I in Skype. We were I was having a good time. But there are people, I've noticed this in Blog TV. There are people that watch my videos that really hate me. And I was on Blog TV once, and somebody started attacking me in the comments. And I say, well, obviously you know me from YouTube. Who are you? And they wouldn't say. Doesn't that seem cowardly? That's the thing about troll accounts or sock accounts. Yeah, what should I say? I'm a hypocrite. I've created sock accounts too. But I say it's sock account against sock account because they had sock accounts. In this case, I was representing myself. So that makes it all different now, doesn't it? It's he knew who I was. And really, in the sock account wars in our corner of YouTube, we pretty much know who that other person is. It's like, and sometimes you can narrow, sometimes if you really don't know, you'll narrow it down to at least 3 people. Yeah. What else do I talk about? Let's say hello to Sean Bean. Sean Bean. I see you still on Twitter every now and then. And what was that? Relay Channel Box, I believe it is. Rebecca. I thought you were mad at me, or you're mad at Sean, and please don't be. Whatever's going on, you can't expect us to be. We're on YouTube. We all have to be a little suspicious of people that don't vlog and appear on camera. Hell, I'm suspicious about Sean Bean. What the hell? Everything's cool until the sock account or the whatever troll account. You know, a lot of people think of trolls as like, oh, this evil person, but correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't like trolling started out for the world like when you're trolling for fish? You're dropping a hook in the water and you're just moving the boat really slowly, hoping you'll catch a fish. Oh, now I got my wrist on camera. Before I did Fez Night, I get this thing called a ganglion cyst. And if I turn my wrist like that, you can sort of see kind of where it is, where it starts. It comes back every year or so. And it gets so big, it almost looks like I've got another bone here. You know, like this bone on your wrist that pops out. It almost looks like another bone, but it's right about here. And some people, I've heard that it all starts where you get a trauma. You hit, in my case, I must have hit the back of my hand against something. And it starts to grow, and you can feel it. It's like a tendon that's filled with fluid. And one of the old school methods, and there's a guy on YouTube doing this or something, you smack it with a book. You try to smash it back in. Ooh, I could never do that. Ooh. I've slowly, when it's gotten really big, put a lot of pressure on it, and you can feel it go squish and go back, the fluid, like whatever, spread out, disperse. But the last few times, what I've been doing, I did this right before Fez Night, is I have this piece of welding rod, because it's rather thick. Like a sewing needle won't work. I mean, it has to be a thick needle. And, you know, of course, I try to sterilize the area and sterilize the needle. And then I push it into the middle of that sucker. And it kind of hurts. But once you get in, you pull it out, all this fluid starts coming out, and you're like, yeah, isn't that good? Now it looks kind of normal. It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. But you can still kind of see a little area that's a little bit sticks out. But I can do this, and it doesn't really stick out. When I do this, it's like, oh wait, it's coming back. Like I said, it comes back every now and then. I should have made a video showing that. I bet they get lots of hits, but I need somebody to hold the camera. I guess I could set up a tripod or something, but what a hassle. I guess that's all I was talking about. Trolling. Yeah, And basically, it started out in the chat rooms and stuff. You know, it's like you're taking that line with that hook, and you're trying to excite somebody. So you say something really vicious in the comment section, or you'll go after somebody, or say something really outrageous. Like I've seen trolls on the Onion, where they'll like be, and they've got to be trolls in some cases because they're like, you know, the Onion News will have some outrageous story, you know, and they'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. There's one guy on YouTube who was a libertarian Ron Paul supporter. I remember once a long time ago, he said, oh yeah, this is what's going on the Senate floor. And I looked at the link, it was an Onion, it was an Onion News story. And I told him, dude, and I like the guy, and he's an intelligent person, but he gets sucked into this right-wing libertarian propaganda, you know? And it's so funny how these people say, call us the sheep, the sheeple, you know? Anyway, it fit his mindset so well that he thought this has got to be true. And when I told him that, he took the link down. So when he'll troll me on the Onion, go, oh, I can't believe this is real. And what they're waiting for is go, you're an idiot, I can't, you know, this is the Onion. Or, you know, or it'll just plain go, somebody, you know, goes to some site and says something really racist or something awful just to stir people up, and they think it's funny. And then hence we have the troll. But a lot of times sock accounts aren't really troll accounts. They're over there or whatever. They're anonymous accounts. They're an anonymous person that we don't really know who they are, but they can be friendly till they turn against you. Can you call them friendly trolls? I don't think that really fits. I'd say it's more like an anonymous YouTuber, you know. And I've got lots of people in the past, and there are probably still people that still hang around that don't really reveal themselves, but have always been cool to me. And sometimes they try to trick you. They try to act like they're cool, and then they're not. Oh. I guess that's it. This has gone on long enough. I've been having trouble with my internet connection, and uploads are a lot slower than they should be. Much slower. It took like 5 hours or something last week, and that's ridiculous. Or there was a weekend before last. Hopefully today will be better. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching Fabaceous Fez. Have a great week. Cheers.